This podcast contains swear words and two brothers discussing how to make their behavior fit their beliefs. It seems polite to warn you. 1, 2, 3, 4. You and I will disagree. I'm not you. Let it be. What's good for you is not good for me. I'm talking philosophically. What's good for you and me? I'm talking philosophically. Welcome, Brother Gus. Welcome back to Studio Panda.
Good to be here, man, in Studio Panda. This is the 3rd of January, 2023. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's nice to see your face.
Nice to see your face. What do you want to talk about?
We should talk about money and music and capitalism and how to decide what to do with your time, what to pay attention to.
And getting in shape for the new year.
We are trying to get our minds in shape.
Mental workout.
Mental fitness.
I need
Mental
some of that.
hygiene, kind of.
Mental hygiene. Yeah, you got to hit the showers after a mental workout. Which, beer? Is that the shower for the brain? I don't know.
No, but now
Sponsored by Duff Beer.
this is the thing. If we're going to come up with as good catchphrases to put on a beer can as beer, shower for your brain, then shouldn't we be making money for our brilliance? Or should we be giving that away for free to the universe? You know what I'm saying?
That's a fair question, and I think a theme of the show today is going to be preference for what you create, as well as what you consume. So we always talk about what kind of music you like, but maybe today a little bit more of what kind of music do you like to create as an artist. It's kind of be a theme that ties everything together, and what are your reasons for doing that? And I like how you said, yes, do we deserve to make money for our brilliant idea, the beer shower for your brain, or is that just something you want to put out there, share, and people may like it or may not?
This is a deep question. It's a question I continue to grapple with as I decide to whether or not to create things. It's a question you've grappled with as you have written songs and performed them for live groups of humans, which I feel like is such a rare thing, actually, when it comes down to it. Even though you may think that there are garage bands in every corner, not that many people write their own stuff and then convince another group of humans to practice it with you and then play it for
man.
other. What a massive undertaking. So you must have some kind of burning inside you that's like, I need to write this song and show it to people.
Yeah, do you think, quick aside, do you think it's easier to to perform, get people to come see you perform, or to get people to come to band practice?
Ooh, good question. But I think ultimately it's easier to get people to tell you what, I am less picky about who comes to see me perform than I am about who I actually even want to play music with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just a bias I need to get over. But it is, I think, generally easier to get a bunch of people to come see something live than it is to get a person or a group of people to commit to the kind of regular practice and interaction that's really necessary to know each other and know how to play together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, creating is hard, and watching someone that has worked really hard to create something, that's easy. You just go and sit there. But definitely hard to make the time, I guess.
I've always kind of dreamed, and maybe this will still happen for me, that I could take 30 hours a week and just spend it playing music with a group of people. That's the job of a professional orchestral musician. Not many professional musicians are doing that, though. I think most professional musicians today, it's a big combination of stuff. Like Taylor Swift, she's not just sitting there practicing with her band. She's writing songs. She's making Instagram posts sometimes. I'm sure she has somebody doing some of that for her, but she's got to make appearances. She's got to shoot videos. There's tons of different stuff she's got to do,
We're going to have to, I told you not to bring up Swift. I don't want any Swifties attacking us on the show. So we're going to consult our resident Taylor Swift expert, Haley. Fact check on us there. Is there anything we said wrong?
No, I love it. And Taylor Swift.
Wouldn't it be cool if Taylor
Perfect.
Swift actually spent like 30 hours a week just playing music with a band? I just can't see how she has that much time available.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of cross promotional things. You know, those mega artists, right? You're doing benefit things, and
Yeah.
you know, you're tending to your personal brand, as well as you're not just performing all the time.
You're tending to your personal brand. That's like a thing you have to do as a
Yeah.
modern musician.
Whether you
Maybe.
hire people or not, you've got
Yeah.
to tend to that brand. Now, hold on. Can you want to create music just to share with people, but then there's like this reality that you have to have a brand in order to share it with more people, and then that justifies like
You just asked the
what you're doing?
you asked the best question, which is that, in fact, because I'm a private teacher of music students, a thing I really try to drill into them is that you do not have to be a professional musician. You don't have to take piano lessons or learn to write songs with me and then go try to become a star. If you learn these skills, how to play something better, how to sing better, how to write music better, you'll just have a richer, more fun life. Like, you don't have to use this skill to make money. Many of us are very skilled at things that we do not make money for. Skilled cooks in the home.
There's nothing more common than unsuccessful men with talent. That is from something I had to memorize for the fraternity. Persistence quote from Calvin Coolidge.
Are you allowed to say that on here? Do we need to get are they going to be mad
mean-
that you're giving away fraternity secrets?
You know, they probably got bigger fish to fry, like all the hazing going on. They're not going to come after me.
Good call. Good call. We're safe.
Maybe, though. If some guys in purple hoods show up and, like, put a sack over my head, just know I'm going to be having a great time.
Isn't that it? I literally think this is important to say.
For me.
We can be kind of preachy when we get in front of a microphone. I think any human is. Any human.
It's a power trip a little bit.
Well, what we're talking about again today is like what do we choose to pay attention to? Which also conversely is how do we spend our time doing things, creating things? Because my choice in what to create really does matter. It affects other people. It affects the world around me. It's something worthy of our consideration. You know, it's not, I don't believe that it's random. I don't believe like, do whatever you want with your day, man. I believe that like there's balance in all things. I want balance too, so that as I do whatever I want, it is a balanced sort of way I'm behaving. I want to be able to provide for my partner and my child who are right around me. I would like to be able to interact with my friends and family and love them and help them grow and change and do things if they need that help. I would also like to be able to help strangers if I can. So these are just things that I want. I don't think you should want them or you have to want them or anything. But in order to do all of these things, I have to think carefully about how I structure my time, what I pay attention to, and how much time I do on certain things. If I always followed my basest sort of dopamine seeking reaction, right? It's like, because that's one way to say, well, do whatever you want, right? Well, what is it that I want? Is what I want to constantly have that dopamine squirting into my brain, just making me feel real good?
If you want that, do a puzzle.
Yes.
Puzzles. Every time you put a little piece in there, dope. Haley knows what I'm talking about.
So how can we figure out how to spend our time a little bit better? Or a little bit towards, better is a vague word. That's what I'm trying to get at with the implied for me.
Let me go back to something you said, because you're like, okay, I want to provide for my family. I want to spend time with my rest of my family. I want to do all these things. And so going into, the preference for what you create and like, why am I creating this song? Let's just talk about songs because it's a music podcast. Do you, if your goal is to do those things, provide for your family through song, are you going to make different choices in writing that song than you would if it's just, am I putting this art out there for fun? And I think the answer's got to be yes, but how is that different for you?
This has been honestly a source of deep paralysis for me. When I got into professional music, I had come from a history of writing tons of songs, playing them with friends in high school. I used to be in a band called Hotcakes Dean and the Flapjacks.
What?
Because we were 16 years old when we
Tell me
named
about
that band.
Hotcakes Dean and the Flapjacks.
This is all the same people as In Due Time, the band that you know.
Okay.
And this was founded for the hot dog party, this infamous party that a friend of mine, Mike, would be invited. His dad was a judge, and he was invited to this like fancy party out in South Colorado. And it's got this giant it's not a big tall house, it's a sweeping house. It's like so wide over this big property. And at the hot dog party, we were the hired band.
I think I remember hearing about the hot dog party, and I was kind of jealous because you'd get paid good money for this hot dog party.
Yeah, they would pay us really good money.
Yeah.
I think they would pay us $100 per member of the band.
Which is like, 16 years old or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, we're 16 at the first time we do
pretty
this.
good.
And I'm playing piano and singing. We have a drummer, we have a bassist, we have a guitarist. Yeah. And we just came up with a name real quick. Hotcakes Dean and the Flapjacks. Silly little thing. But so we were playing music together, and I was writing eventually that ballooned into other musical groups that I would write songs for. And this was so exciting for me to write my own music, and that other people not only were interested in playing it, but then we would get really good at playing it. And people who listened to it would be like, that song makes me feel good. And it might be as simple as that too. It's like, I felt good because it was a thing I'd created, but I think even more so, I felt good because people felt good. I was feeding off of the good feelings that this activity was creating to do, the activity that we were doing together, right? I created this song, we listened to, I play it, you listen, and we all just kind of feel good together.
Well, you know what? You make me think of cooking. I love cooking for other people. Haley, my fiance, Haley, is in the room with us, hanging out, and I absolutely love cooking for Haley. And part of the reason I love cooking for her is she enjoys what I cook. And it's that like positive feedback, and so I want to keep doing it, and I want to experiment and do something new and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I think that artist-audience relationship is sort of similar. It's like, yes, I've created this thing that I think is pretty cool, and here you go, audience, and holy smokes, you're smiling, like you're bopping around, you're having a good time, and that just sort of energizes and makes you want to do it again, regardless of the money. She doesn't pay me to cook for her, but I love it.
This is what I was trying to say earlier about teaching people music.
Gotcha.
You don't need to learn music to impress people. You can learn music just to like have a good time together. There's nothing wrong with watching a movie on a Saturday night or going over to someone's house on a Saturday night and blasting music in the background and drink until you drop. Those are fun things to do too.
That is a good time.
But if you want to sort of increase your repertoire of fun things to do on a Saturday, learn to play music really well and play music for a party. That's like, no one has to pay to come to that show. You're just helping your friends and yourself have a great time. Music can just be for that too. And I think because pop stars and pop music and just other forms of, incredibly visible entertainment really take over a lot of our attention. And that's what we want to talk more about, the attention economy, and like how, again, because of the implied for me, I don't think we would ever say that one of these things is either good or bad. We're trying to figure out what do different people prefer. And if you would actually prefer to be able to entertain yourself more without relying on these other things, then there are steps you could take to get closer to fulfilling that preference,
Yeah. There's a lot in my mind right now. And you said a term, the attention economy, and I think we should turn to that topic real quick.
Bring it on.
And a little bit of reading here. So the term attention economy was coined by a psychologist and economist and Nobel laureate, and that's quite the title, Herbert A. Simon. And his sort of thinking was that there's this bottleneck of human thought. We can only give our attention to so many things, and so there is all of this stuff out there now competing for our attention, and there always has been, but especially with the emergence of social media, the internet, just all of TV, radio, all of these sort of media transfer mechanisms that take our attention very easily. That's sort of what we're defining in the scope of this conversation as the attention economy, is this sort of space in which people create and demand our attention, right? I think just to kind of oversimplify it. So we'll give credit to him for the concept, but that's kind of how we're talking about it.
I like that you use the phrase, they demand our attention, because we're actually talking about economics. We're talking about supply and demand, right? There's a demand for attention, and then there's a demand for content.
It's kind of interesting, though, because did you ever, let's just go, before Facebook. I was a MySpace guy early on. Before that, AOL Instant Messenger, which I don't know if that really counted, because you're actually just talking to your friends. But think before Facebook, before MySpace, were you you know what I need? I'm bored. I need more ways to I need videos on demand that never stop playing, of random stuff that other people have produced. Did anyone say they wanted that? Or was it just sort of thrust upon us? And then now we're I can't stop looking at this shit. You know what I mean? So I do think it's demanding our attention a little bit. It's designed in order to do so. And there's lots of bodies of research out there to talk about that.
Well, isn't a sound marketing strategy sometimes to create demand for the product you want to offer?
Yeah, right. You do some science, you create some sort of thing, and you're well, I don't know what to do with this, but let's market the out of it. Let
if
people
we can
know
tell
that
a
it's
story
awesome.
about it, if we can convince people that they want this thing, then we can create demand. We can create a whole new business opportunity.
There's health effects.
Right?
I mean, you look at beef or whatever. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
This seems important to remember, that it's actually not up to the audience alone to say well, this is what we like, therefore that is what people will create. No. There's people who want to create something and will then convince you to like it so that they can keep creating
and
it.
those people are sometimes called visionaries, right? They knew what people wanted before they wanted it. They've created this.
Visionaries. Are they from another side of the coin? Would some people call those people sellouts?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, possibly. It's I'm going. And again, what reason are you doing it?
Why are you creating it? I think fans, if they think at first that a musician is writing songs purely for expression, purely for a room full of people playing live, having a good time, and then another song comes along 10 years later into their career, and that longtime fan is this song sounds like you wrote it specifically to make a lot of money, which is different than why I felt like you wrote those first songs I fell in love with. And I'm explaining this really delicately, but they might just quickly say, you fucking sellout.
Dude, the sellout thing in music is an interesting. It's got to be a tough thing, because sometimes people are I'm trying to evolve my artistic style. It's nope, you're selling out. And the sophomore album is always the test, right? Someone has a breakout album, and you're just all right, this is awesome. And then their second album, they either deviate from the sound that you fell in love with, or they do try to do the exact same thing. Or some people nail it, which is, I don't know what nailing it is, but you know what I mean? Those are the complaints about the sophomore album.
Nailing it is going to be different for every artist and every fan.
Yeah.
Because of the implied for me. We're all going to seek something different from that particular artist on their next effort.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide whether we're just talking about who gets to decide what is in demand, and therefore what do we create?
So,
do you want to say more about that article, the attention economy?
I guess just going back to social media real quick, a couple points here is that this content, these sort of platforms are strategically designed to get our attention. And when we focus our attention on stuff that is designed to capture our attention or demand our attention, we forgo opportunities to give our attention to other things, like our loved ones, our careers, our whatever. I can't tell you how
Our
many
musical
times
skill.
our musical skill. And so there can be a crowding out effect of other activities. And I think, pertaining to this conversation, what we were talking about before we started recording is just how that sort of, if you want to enter the attention economy and you want to be successful in it, you have to capture eyeballs and earballs. Earballs, is that a thing? You have to capture people and get followers and accumulate people that like your content. And sometimes I think that leads to perverse incentives, or perverse, like you would create something that you wouldn't create if you're just trying to create art and share it with people, because you have to be maybe controversial, or you have to be different or go viral or something to succeed in this attention economy, because otherwise you're getting paid pennies on the dollar. Like, what does Spotify pay? Like pennies or fractions of pennies for one song listen or something,
for a stream, right?
And so it's like you need to go big and you have to do something, so you might write a song that you think other people will like, rather than a song that you like. Totally. And I think that's where, the philosophical question comes in.
I think what's really interesting and deep underneath that is we are trying to change what we like, to change our preferences. And it's interesting to think of an artist who might write a lot of types of songs and then think, well, it's being suggested to me by this team of producers and other people who are communicating with me now that I had that big album. And they're saying, why don't you try this idea in your music? Why don't you try this idea? And that artist might actually be really open to all of those ideas, because they're like, well, yeah, I just like music. I like let's try all this stuff.
I want to ask you, have you ever been in a recording studio or a situation where someone suggested changing your song and you're kind of conflicted about it because you're like, no, I like it how it is?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
When I was in college, actually, I just graduated from college. So I'm 22 years old. What is this, 2012? And I majored in voice performance. But while I was there, I took composition lessons. And of course, I had written songs for years already. And so then I started writing songs that were a little more classically influenced, but still very much singer-songwriter-y. And I wrote this song that set some text from the Bible, actually, and had my partner at the time sing it in one of her recitals. And her piano accompanist, who is an incredible piano accompanist, really amazing jazz improviser. Okay, so this piano player played one of my songs, and he told me, I feel like you could develop the chords to this more. And he played me some examples where he just basically chose more chords. There were more chords in there than what I had. And I thought what he played was really cool, honestly. But I think what I objected to was his phrasing of, this needs to be developed more. I feel like it's not developed enough. Later on, I had the language that I have now. I think what he was saying is, for me, this needs to be developed more, He was a really, really advanced jazz piano player. He could take almost any song and reharmonize it on the fly and play some brand new version of it. I once heard him do a 12-tone Over the Rainbow piece that was just, it was weird and it was beautiful and it was moving and I loved it. But that kind of thing was not how I envisioned this piece of music, right? He was trying to interject a different preference onto my preference. Now, it's possible his preference might have made more money than mine or something, right? That's one metric we could give to all these different preferences. They're definitely not better or worse. Artists aren't better or worse, I believe, than each other, unless we get a little more specific about what we're saying. Some artists make more money than other artists. Some artists say more offensive things to me personally in their songs. That doesn't make it better or worse, but these are different metrics by which we can decide what we want to pay attention to.
Who is the most offensive artist? That'd be an interesting
hit us
metric. Hit us up if you know
Tell
or
us.
think you know who the most offensive artist is.
Well, and again, isn't this the most offensive artist for you?
For you.
But we could do a little research and say, who is the most offensive artist in terms of the federal agency that regulates that stuff?
Yeah, do they rank like the FCC is the number one potty mouth?
I
Imagine
hope that's what it is.
it's got to be out there somewhere.
On Patreon, you'll be able to subscribe to us by the time we get to this episode. And for
Subscribe to Patreon.
And for $200 a month, let's say, you can be the number one potty mouth. For $200 a month on Patreon, you can be the number one potty mouth. That'll be your title. And we'll get recordings of you swearing and interject them into points of the podcast where we need extra swear words. Because I think we don't believe that swear words, for us, we don't care. We think they're fun to say. You know?
I do.
That's why we say
agree with that. I might. Can I be the number one potty mouth? I'll subscribe.
We have our first subscriber, everybody. Because ultimately, the reason that we would even ask you for money for this show you're listening to right now is because we actually think that something that we're doing here could be valuable for other people than ourselves. We definitely think that what we're doing right now is valuable for us. That's inherent in the fact that we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're paying a lot of attention to this and we're doing it because we think it's fun for us. It's bringing us closer together as brothers in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
It's just like expanding our interests. It's fun. But we're interested in like how we could do it differently and do it more if we could have money for it too. Because this is maybe, I consider this to be unfortunate, but everyone's different here too. I can't devote so much time to things I would like to because I do need to devote time to activities that directly make me money more quickly because I have a home that needs to be paid for. In fact, I'm about to move in with people who are going to like charge me so little money. It's going to be fine. I'm still saving a lot of money, but then there's like student loans to pay off. There's stuff that I feel like I need to pay or else I'm going to face consequences that I don't want to face, right? So that forces my attention to be focused on certain activities. If this activity became a money-making activity, then that would be really cool, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unavoidable part of life is you need a bit of money to live. You know, there's a great Pepper song called Rent, and I love that song. Basically, the song's just about like, yeah, you need money to pay the rent, you know, and everyone does, and that's a universal thing. And but yeah, you know how fun it would be to do something you love to make money, but that's contingent on that thing you do adding value to someone else, and that's why they're willing to pay you money for it. And so will this add value to people in a way where they're willing to pay to support it, to continue it, to go on, right? And I think the question in terms of this conversation is, that's not the reason we're doing this. But if it be like, if someone said, I need you to change how you do the podcast and swear less or go on less tangents or prepare more or all the stuff we've talked about, you know, would we say, okay, we will do that with the expectation that we'll make money? And then does that change the art form? And are we doing it for a different reason, even if it's not as fun, but we're making it better for our audience, more monetary, right? And I think that'd be like I don't know, as this develops, that'd be interesting to, if honestly, we make any money, that'd be interesting to analyze. But
it seems important to me to talk about this before we even approach making money. I wish more creators of content would talk directly about this, about money. I feel like in the workplace, in the as though this couldn't be a workplace, but in the corporate workplace where you enter your home office nowadays for a lot of people, but you are communicating with people from a big team of people all day, and you're held accountable to certain deadlines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In this world, they talk a lot about how when people don't discuss salaries with each other, that it allows everyone to be paid less than if we knew more about what's going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same exact thing applies to this. And it applies to consumers who are choosing not only where to spend their attention, but where to spend their money. I feel like sometimes people need to know more about like, well, why should I give money and attention to this thing? Well, here's some reasons that the people who I'm giving money to are talking about why we would maybe want money or use money, or maybe why we would not want money. I feel very opposed to ever running ads on this podcast. I don't want to accept people's money to advertise their product. But at the same time, what if somebody came along and was like, yo, could I advertise to your fan base about a research study I'm doing where I'm looking for volunteers so I can study their musical preferences? I'm like, well, that sounds pretty cool.
That fits the values.
Actually, that fits the value. So maybe there is just a very, very thin scope of values that we'd allow, you know?
Would you ever allow like a crypto exchange to advertise for this podcast? Like FTX? Like what if FTX gets back on its feet and then like would we tell people it's safe to invest if they gave us like 1 million Bitcoin or something?
I don't think so. I feel really weird about that.
Yeah. That's the right answer.
That would be another good. Send in your questions. Tony, would you allow this to be advertised on the podcast? And I'll answer all of them.
I'd be curious. Yeah. Like where do you draw the line?
Honestly, that would really help us figure out what we really believe.
Love it.
I think I'd like to play you a song. Can I play you a whole song? Or do you want to talk about something else first?
No, I think it's time to go to your song. And you know, before... let's just play it. But I have some questions kind of pertaining to this conversation. You know, what is your motivation? What is like... You know, what are you trying to convey? Like, what, you know, was this a money-making song or is this something else? But I think we just, we'll play it and then we'll talk about all that.
This song is called Giving Forgiveness. And I wrote this song based on a relationship with a real person in my life. And that's the one detail of the song that I will never share with anybody. That'll remain secret forever. It's like important to me just like protect people's privacy in that way.
Yeah.
But I'll talk ad nauseum about like what all the lyrics inside of it mean and how they connect to each other and how the harmony of this song, the chords that I've chosen, really tickle me and I feel like take us through an emotional journey of growth through like chords that can be a little difficult to digest with our ear. That difficulty representing the emotional difficulty of processing when someone's hurt you and then trying to forgive them. So I have a real like emotional intelligence design with this song. I want people to, and I'm telling you all this before you've ever heard it, which is weird because usually we don't do this with music, except in classical music worlds.
Yes.
Where a lot of times people do start the concert with a speech, which a lot of times I hate because they go on too long. And now I'm going to play you this song. Giving more for someone you love. But who to love, what to give, how to live, how to die. Letting go, giving so no anger is left, but nothing's left, nothing's right, no food tonight. What to do when you're blue? Nothing's alright. Anger is left, used to have the audience sing along with me. So if you want to sing along right now, you could sing that same vocal line. Forgive, forgiveness, forgive. Just keep that going. Giving to you all that you need. But do we need, or is it greed? Can we be free? Please be kind to your mind. You're no good without all that you need. Don't you know? Don't you know how to love without a kiss? My life is stuck with your life. We can't afford to miss
God damn. Give me some of that shit. I've never heard that song before.
Cool.
It's beautiful and sad.
Yeah. Thank you. Would you say you like it?
Yeah, I do.
And I think right away, you would like listening to it most, perhaps in the experience that you just had of me, first of us talking about like deep meaning of what the decisions humans have on the world. We were talking about like what I pay attention to matters for how much time I have to do other things. What I create and why I create it, depending on making lots of money or expressing some truth, that matters for what I create. So we're talking about these meaningful things, and then I hit you with this song that I also tell you is imbued with meaning. And so your mind is prepared to make this connection and to receive this song, right? Whereas if you're on Spotify and it's suggesting this song to you, and you've just finished listening to Are you ready for my song? Or are you like, whoa, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, very possibly I'd be like, this isn't the vibe I'm going for. This isn't the mood I'm in. And, you know, you couldn't see me because your back was to me, but I did not get on my phone. I did not do anything. I just sat and listened and watched. And even without seeing your face, I could only see the back of your head. But, you know, you could like see the emotion in the sort of head movements and how hard you maybe pressed on the keyboard and things of that nature. So it was pretty interesting. And I think we've probably talked about this in a previous episode where...
In a previous episode, we've talked about how the setting how you listen to music matters.
Yes, that's exactly
and we've talked about listening while cooking, listening while driving, listening in a party at the background, or active
Active
listening. You're not
listening.
doing anything else. You're sitting or, whatever you're doing with your body, but you're listening directly to the music, not reading something at the same time.
I thoroughly enjoyed this active listening experience.
Cool. I think something I've struggled with sometimes as I create music, I've struggled with how I feel like the only kind of music I want to create is music that's best to be actively listened to, which means that in an economy where people are trying to compete for your attention, trying to grab you as something flashy or groovy that makes you like draws you in. It's like, okay, this is like the things I was seeking, so I'll stick around, as opposed to something that's like maybe very unlike what you were seeking, but that you might enjoy if you could be convinced and you made a plan to actively enjoy it. You go to the concert, you come see me live, you'd probably enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, do I want to like party to that song? No, but that's not the intent.
Right.
Or even I think about like an art gallery. Most of the times I go to the art gallery and I find something like, wow, this is cool. But I didn't set out to find that thing, but I have to actually stand there and look at the thing in the art gallery to find out that it's cool, right? I can't be like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that I wanted to listen to that song because I didn't know it existed, I guess.
Because I didn't know it existed. I mean, sometimes we don't know what we actually want, right? We don't actually know that this feeling we're having of like we're yearning for something. We might be yearning for some sort of dopamine hit or some sort of pleasure or some sort of completeness. We might not know what that means or how to find it. And I love trying to write songs that I feel like fill in that gap of like, oh, because a lot of times when I'm writing this song, I know that I need a form of completeness that I can only achieve by completing the song, by like marrying these harmonies together with these words. And I want to talk to you about this harmony right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll go. We start in the key of A major. And I start with a classical trope.
Yeah, I like that little trill.
Meaning that sort of trill leading from 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. So it's very, very boisterously bringing us down to the tonic, the home, the resting place. And then I start to sing. And I'm going to talk more about the chords. So we go from this A chord to a major chord down a half step. This is very much not in the key of A major anymore because we've chosen all notes that don't fit in that original key. We've just taken every single starting note and moved all of them down a half step. There's a Beach Boys sound like... You know what I'm saying? There's some Beach Boys sound like that. They're just like sliding back and forth chromatically. Here it's very slow. So this new chord that we play becomes the dominant, which is like the tension that leads us to a new home. And that home is here on C sharp minor. But I really fuck with this chord. Like C sharp minor would be like this. C sharp minor, I've led directly to it. But here, instead of the regular fifth of this chord, I've lowered that by a half step. It's what we call a flat fifth. And then instead of playing just the root, I've also added a 7 to this chord. And then I've added a 9 to the chord as well because it just wasn't crunchy enough. And what I love about this chord is that this flat 5, this G, is just a half step away from where I really want to get to, which is F sharp minor. And the melody does that too. Someone you love. So now I've actually done a weird chromatic movement, which means by half step from A, G sharp, G, F sharp. And that's where the melody has gone, and I've harmonized just that melody the whole entire way. And the chromatic movement is very sad. It sounds sad. And I think that's why this chord progression can sound so sad too. We're just depressing, lowering constantly. And then I go back to the very first chord I played in the whole piece. So it's this bit of depressing weirdness surrounded by the exact same classical trope. And I find this to be sort of a comforting way to surround what is very tense. And sometimes we have to do this when we're talking about emotional growth or emotional damage. It's like, or if you're trying to give advice to somebody even, hey, I know that you mean the best, but you gave me a paperweight for my birthday, and I just don't really even like have papers that I put on a desk. It just kind of seems like you wanted to get me a paperweight because you think they're cool, which is great. I think you should love paperweights, but getting it as a gift for me, I just want you to learn.
Is that what the song is about? The paperweight that you got? Or is that just an example?
No. It's a secret.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to be funny.
No, I got you. Good example.
Then the last little bit of this is I alluded to this earlier, that there is difficult harmony in this because forgiving people is really difficult. When I first wrote this song, I actually wrote it for a specific purpose, for a specific gig. Somebody had asked me to play at a show that they were asking 3 different musicians to play at, and they had a theme of forgiveness for that night. And I chose some of my music that I had already written to play as a set, and then I wrote this song brand new to be played that night. And it went over really well. I had never kind of debuted a song, I think, to such an enthusiastic and attentive audience at this show. It was a small little coffee shop, probably about like 25 people watching the show. And they all just like sit quietly and sip their tea and listen to everything you do. So it was the perfect audience for this song, as we talked about with deep listening. And a person came up to me afterwards and told me that she appreciated how the chords that were underneath our singing, because I did get the whole entire audience to sing along with me on forgiveness. She said to me, the chords underneath were very dissonant and hard to listen to, much like giving forgiveness to people is not easy. And I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted it to be like. It's so cool that you understood what I was doing with both frequencies, with harmony behind everything, and the words at the same time. It really meant a lot to me that a person was sort of open to receiving that message,
That's awesome.
So those chords. We've been in A the whole entire time, and then we go to E flat major. Here's A, here's E flat major. They're very different from each other. They are what we call a tritone apart. When we divide the piano scale, there are 12 different notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this one's the same as this one, so it's 13 and 1 are the same. In between that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. This note is like almost in the middle of an octave, but played together, it makes this really weird dissonant sound. That's tritone jingle bells. And in medieval music, there was apparently some, you can Google this and you'll find tons and tons of people who have talked about it. People thought that the tritone interval should be associated with the devil, and therefore didn't belong in music. You should never write that into your music, because you'd just be summoning the devil, and who would want to do that, right?
Hendrix wanted?
Yeah. We'll play that later for real. So here I've gone not to invoke the devil, or, I don't know, invoke the devil if you want, but really just to make something that is so different. I wanted the chord to be a different universe from where I had been before. So you go a tritone and just make it a major chord on a tritone away from where you started. R-A, E flat. But as you play the piano and sing, you can see that a lot of the notes in these chords are actually right next to each other. So it doesn't have to sound like a big leap like that, it can sound kind of smooth. My bass motion is still going really far away like that, but the chords above, I can play voicings of those chords where the notes are right next to each other. So it's different, it's a different universe, but it's related, and we're trying to smooth the two together. And so as we sing, forgiveness, forgiveness. We're going back up to the A. Forgiveness. And then I decided it needed to be a little bit harder, so we chose 2 new chords that still have those same exact notes in them. It's G to A. So instead of E flat, we just take both these major chords, A major and E flat, and we go to the minor relative, which means it uses almost all the same notes. So we go to C minor instead of E flat major, and then we go to F sharp minor instead of A major. These are still a tritone apart in the bass and have the same relationships between their chord tones up above, so it can still be smooth and easy to sing. Forgiveness, forgiveness. I wanted the challenge of playing some really bizarre chords, but not totally derailing the audience as they were singing along. And it worked. It's worked every time I've done this with a live audience. They're able to keep up and stay in tune, even as I change harmonic universes around them.
Yeah, I'll agree that I think, well, the recording will tell that I kept the tune the whole time as you were doing that, but it wasn't super challenging too, so you designed that well.
So I like to create things that are all related to each other. I really love it when every little bit of rhythm and harmony and word and phrasing and melody, when it's all trying to serve a purpose, when it's trying to serve an emotion. You know, let's say, I think it's always trying to serve some kind of purpose. My purpose is one of emotional exploration, I think. I write songs primarily, I think, as a form of therapy for myself. It's like I'm feeling something really powerfully that it would help me to sort of sort out and express through music. And again, that's a way that music could be useful for you that might have nothing to do with selling 1 million copies of your album.
Would you rather have $1 million or save one person's life with a song?
I think definitely save one person's life with a song. That sounds so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's obviously the answer. And then maybe we got to raise the stakes. $1 billion? No, don't answer that. No, that's super cool, man. And I don't think you're unique in the sense of writing songs. You don't want to say like it's therapy, but as self-expression and putting yourself into that. And then from the audience perspective, that to me is doing it for the right reason. And the right reason for me.
For you.
and when you're listening to music and you identify with something, so many songs, it's like, wow, I've had a similar experience, or those lyrics speak to me, or that music speaks to me, and this makes me feel better. I can't tell you how many comments I've seen on, albums or whatever, like, this helped me through a hard time or whatever, So it's like that audience experiences that too. And so I'm one to think, I don't think making money and doing it for the right reasons have to be mutually exclusive. I think you can do it for the right reasons, and then if that resonates with people, it makes money. But if it doesn't, who cares? Because you've done it for the right reasons and you've stayed true to yourself, right?
And maybe there are other ways for you to sustain yourself doing it. Maybe it doesn't make you money, but you find there are ways to make money that still allow you to make this thing that's really valuable for yourself and others.
Yeah.
Keep making valuable things. Remember, this is Philosophically Sound, where we explore the music we love and learn to love the people and music we explore.
I love you, brother.
I love you, brother.